came into the room and she's like, look at my phone. And then I couldn't see it, so I had to look at mine. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, but I can't bet against Tom Brady. I have the Bucs winning 31-27 and Tom Brady going to his 10th championship.
Aaron Rodgers and his people were like, they listened to our episode and they said, hold our cheesehead or coat.
Donovan Mitchell, who right now looks to be a superstar.
Just amazing. And I don't care what the Red Sox got for trading Mookie Betts and David Price. The Dodgers, in my opinion, win it. I don't have to see what players they gave up.
Yeah, that's not just the Chiefs. That's Andy Reid. He knows the defenses so well because he's such a great offensive mind.
Well, you said you can't bet against Tom Brady, and as a Cowboys fan and what I just did last weekend, I am not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life.
It just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up. And when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
Chris Paul is one of the most underrated players of all time. He's been the best player wherever he goes, and that includes with the Rockets. Yeah, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's 2 of the top 5 players in the league, and they are very, very good.
Yeah, and I really think the Clippers' chance to win the championship was last year, and they were up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets.
Hello, I'm Taylor Hearn, and you listen to The Outsiders' Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NL Wildcard Review and NLDS Preview. Austin, I did something different. I went with the Cardinals, and they still made me mad. So I really don't know how to fix the problem with them. So let's just get into how it was a really good game. Very much a pitching duel, not what we've seen in the regular season.
Not a barn burner.
Yeah. What were your thoughts of the game?
It was great. I thought Wainwright outpitched Scherzer during his stint. I was very impressed with Chris Taylor at the end, his home run to knock off the skid he's been having recently. We saw the same thing in the Boston games. Xander Bogaerts was terrible to end off the year, and he starts it out with a home run. A home run that really elevated them to the success that they had during that game, and Chris Taylor's pretty similar. But yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would always fade Kevin versus the Cardinals. If Kevin thinks the Cardinals are making the playoffs, they're definitely not making the playoffs. And if he thinks they're going to win the championship, they're definitely not going to win the championship. Whatever it may be, fade Kevin versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals seem to do the opposite of whatever Kevin needs.
Yeah, so I guess Cardinals fans will be mad at me then for picking him. I agree with you. Wainwright outpitched Scherzer, in my opinion. Scherzer only got taken out in the 5th.
4
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was taken out in the 5th, but it was 4 1/3 innings.
Well, yeah, 4 1/3. And then Wainwright lasted
5 1/3.
Yeah, 5 1/3. Okay, so it was 6th inning, and just Scherzer didn't look like prime Scherzer.
Well, Scherzer didn't look like this year's Scherzer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he just looked off. Like there were some pitches where I think he was trying to get to the left low and away, but then it kept going right and up into the right corner.
Well, I feel like he was just somebody that was trying to pinpoint his pitches without just pitching like he normally does. I think he overanalyzed the heat of the Cardinals lineup, and while Tommy Edman got 3 hits for the team, there wasn't much offense besides him. Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees the night before, like 0 offense except for one guy getting 3 hits. But the Cardinals definitely kept it close, and the difference was, the Yankees scored more runs than the Cardinals, but the Cardinals had a better pitching staff that night. The Cardinals pitching staff has been good, not great. Alex Reyes was the closer to start off the season, but then he struggled in early September, was taken out of the role, and he was put in the role of trying to save the game, and Chris Taylor took one very, very deep.
Yeah, this was a game where we mentioned it wasn't a barn burner. The Cardinals left about 11 runners in scoring position. I'm not sure about the full stat with the Dodgers, but I just remember Trey Turner hitting into a double play with the bases loaded. So it definitely some offense that needs to be fixed. And then, of course, we have the Edmund Sosa 3 errors in the beginning of like the first 3 innings.
It was mainly just Sosa. It wasn't Edmund. Edmund was
Well,
fine.
yeah, it was Sosa. I thought
It was 2, I think. I don't think it was 3. I saw 2 that I remember, and I watched the entire game.
they
I think it was 2.
score. I thought it was 3, but it depends on how they scored it.
I'm pretty sure they gave him 2. You can check that though.
I'm checking it. Why am I not?
I'll search.
I'm looking it up. I just gotta get to postseason stats. This one is not updated because it says 0 errors.
They only gave him. Oh, they gave him 0 errors. They counted all those as hits, even though they were questionable.
Really? Okay. Interesting. Because there was one where it just missed his glove like twice, and then he bobbled it. I think that was the first error. So,
Well, the bobble one was the one that Corey Seager made.
Okay. Okay.
There was a dropped. There was a hard ground out that fell out of his glove. There was a light liner / pop up, like just a nice tip that he should have caught on his glove, and he didn't. Those are the 2 I remember from Sosa, and then Seager's the one who bobbled the ball and let Dylan Carlson get on base. But
Gotcha.
yeah, well, the future of the Cardinals is iffy. Not to make a prediction, but with their best pitcher in Adam Wainwright and their best catcher, obviously Yadier Molina, and Nolan Arenado returning, I think they're championship or bust next year, and they will definitely be in the list considering the fact that their only goal next year is to win a championship for those 2 guys.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think maybe they do something in the offseason to try to sign a shortstop. They also have Goldschmidt, but they do have some young players in Bader and Tyler O'Neill. So, but yeah, I definitely agree. Depending on what happens in the offseason, that could definitely push them into championship or bust. So what is next for the Cardinals? I think we should talk about maybe short. Do you agree, or do you think that's an overreaction? Depending, based
No,
off
I 100% agree. I feel like depending on what certain teams do, whether they think they're contending, I feel like going back to the Yankees, we know the Yankees need a shortstop, and they will most likely go to buy one. We know that the Blue Jays need a shortstop. They may re-sign Marcus Semien. There's a lot of teams out there that could really use a shortstop. I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if the Cardinals push for that, especially if they could get somebody on a little bit of a cheaper deal. And I'm not saying like 15 million. I'm saying like 25, but that's cheap for this class. I could see Story going there, pairing up with his former teammate Nolan Arenado. So I feel like that would be a very interesting storyline and definitely push them in the World Series or bust. But besides that, they also need other relief pitchers and starting pitchers. If they made it past this round, I didn't have them going too far even if they won because their starting pitching depth has been suspect to say the least. So they need another starting pitcher, and they need one or two more relievers, and then they need a shortstop. Versus where the Yankees were the other day, they don't really need a starting pitcher, even though they could pick up one. They don't really need any relievers. They have the best relief group in baseball. They just need a shortstop and a center fielder and a catcher. And I think catcher and shortstop are the most important. You can survive with a defensively sound Brett Gardner as your center fielder. And you also have Esteban Florial, who we almost traded to you guys, who I was going to be sad if we lost, but he could play center field next year, move Gardner to left, trade Gallo for a new catcher. There's a lot of stuff that can be done. And then luckily for the Cardinals, they don't have a catcher issue, and they haven't for the last infinite years. They just consistently have Yadier Molina playing at his best, and that's definitely going to help them for next season.
Yeah, I agree. It is quite a shortstop class for this season.
We're definitely going to do a video on that. We have to. Predicting all the shortstops.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick list. Baez, Correa, Story, Seager, then Chris Taylor, Crawford, Rojas, but like definitely some big names that have
Crawford resigned, I think.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at an older list. But just so it is definitely the market to try to go get a shortstop.
Yeah, it's the year. If you need
Yeah.
a shortstop soon, pick up one now. I feel like, again, for the Cardinals, Paul DeYoung hit 196, and he's a hit first shortstop. Sosa's a young guy, but he looked nervous in the position. The shortstop has a lot of, especially for a team like, I'll bring up the Yankees again. The Yankees and Cardinals have two of the best shortstops ever. Best defensive shortstop ever in Ozzie Smith. The best offensive shortstop ever, Derek Jeter. So when you get Torres and Sosa or DeYoung playing those positions, there's a lot of nerves behind that. You have somebody in your history that's just like, I want to be the next Cardinals, Yankees, great shortstop, because they were there for a number of years. They won multiple championships, and they're really the guys you think of when you think of that organization as a whole. I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if both of those teams make major moves, and it's definitely going to happen if they want to make a playoff run for either of those teams to a World Series.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's move on to now that the NLDS it's set with the Dodgers versus Giants, and then we have the Braves versus Brewers. Let's talk about the Braves and the Brewers. We'll save the Dodgers and Giants for the end. So the Braves, they've overcome a lot of a really big injury with Acuna, and they retooled that outfield, so that's really helped them. But you and I both have the Braves winning in four. Brewers, even though they do have some great starting pitching, I'm just worried about the hitting, especially with Yelich, as he has not been able to play a lot this season.
Yeah, and when he has played, he hasn't been that good. They're going to need their bats to come through, and I believe the Braves are very, very confident, and I think that's going to help them throughout this series. They're a team that has been there, done that, unlike the Brewers, who, even though they made the NLCS back in 2018, haven't really done much since. The only way the Brewers come through is if Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta, the three starters for the playoffs, get on a roll, and Christian Yelich looks like the Yelich of old.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It will be a good game series to watch, but the best series to watch, which we should probably talk about how maybe you want the MLB to change the playoff structure, because I think this would be a great NLCS, but it's going to have to be an NLDS based off how the structure is so far with the MLB playoffs.
Yeah, and while I don't, it definitely does not need to be increased. I hate people who are like, oh, let's make it 6, let's make it 7, let's make it 8. No, the best teams in baseball, every team that makes the MLB playoffs is a good, almost great team. Every team could win the championship. That's what I love about baseball. Every team can. When you go to the NBA, no 8 seed or 7 seed is going to win the championship. In the East this year, okay? Let's say the Knicks get the 7 seed. Are they beating the Bucks or Nets in the first round? No, they're not. They're getting swept or beaten in 5. They're just not doing it. But the Yankees or Red Sox, or obviously the Cardinals or Dodgers, could go on a massive run. Obviously, going to be either the Boston Red Sox or the Dodgers since day one. But all those teams we saw as potential title contenders because they made it, and that's the beauty of baseball. Now, I do think the Dodgers should be rewarded, playing in the toughest division in baseball, and also, well, I mean that's now suspect because I think the Padres finished below 500 or something like that, so it kind of questions my whole mentality. Uh, but it's either the AL East or the NL West. It really depends on how you see it, but they should change it. It should be the 3 division winners, next 2 teams, and then reseeded to where the bottom 2 teams play in the wild card game to face the top seed. So this would have the Dodgers versus the Brewers, the Giants versus the winner of the Cardinals and Braves. But the Cardinals versus Braves game would be in St. Louis since the Braves had less wins. So I would like to see that. Obviously, in the AL, that would not have changed anything, even though it was really close between the Yankees, Red Sox, Astros, and White Sox. Those teams had 94, 93, 92, 92. So very, very close. But I think that would make Dodgers fans more happy, and all fans that have a very, very good wildcard team just because the division is elite.
Yeah, I agree with you on all the stuff you said. Um, I still give the edge to the Giants. And then actually back to your point about wildcard teams and how they could win it. You said in your prediction video, the Yankees either win the wild card, either lose the wild card, or they win the whole thing. So that just shows how you were correct in one way, not the way you want it to be correct.
True. But they were a very hot and cold team, and I only saw it going two ways. Either they get really hot, win the championship, or they blow up in a huge batch of tire fire. So obviously the latter happened, and I'm disappointed as a Yankee fan, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to watch baseball.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Dodgers versus Giants. The Giants, I think, have the edge over this one because I just give the edge to them, and I kind of want sports chaos, and I also pick the Giants, so that's why I want them to
It's
win.
crazy that Sports Chaos now is the underdog team, which had the most wins in baseball and the most wins in their franchise history. So it doesn't make much sense. Again, that's the most wins the Giants have ever gotten, and the fact that they're still an underdog and not favored to win the World Series, I think, is crazy town.
Yeah, that is definitely crazy. So I think that concludes. If the Dodgers can win, it would go to show that they spent their money well and on the right type of players. But I don't think there's anything else we can say till we reviewed these games after.
Yep.
All right, so let us know what you think in the comments of our predictions, and make sure to check out our predictions video to see how we're doing. I am not doing well. Austin is doing better as of right now.
Technically, yes, I have 1 point to your 0. However, my World Series champion's already knocked out, unlike yours. So,
Well, yeah, but you got one of the wild cards right. I got both wrong, so it's okay. Uh, make sure to check out that video as Austin gave it a hint. You can figure out which two teams in that video. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.